Aurelia and LeBlanc actually join in after these next two. And we'll see what Mountain's third ban here is as well.
We've seen Lucian bans, we've seen Alistar, Braum, LeBlanc already thrown down, and the Morgana seem to be a bit of an issue for them, but it means that he's probably just going to play Soraka, so hope you can play against that in some way here.
So the last ban is for Infernal as well. I really wonder where Mountain are going to go with their first pick, because you would think, you know, a big solo laner, something like Urgot, something like Aatrox, but I feel like Rakan's kind of sticks out as maybe something you want to first pick, or even an AD carry if you really think there's a marksman that you need to be picking here, as Syndra is the last ban there from Infernal.
Yeah, potentially Lucian is one thing that they could pick up here. Rakan is not a bad one either, because then you could either have Rakan Lucian or Rakan Xayah again. So I like where your head's at there.
And Braum also makes sense, so he's going to take Braum this time around. Did look good on it in game one, despite the loss there for Lin.
Very true, yeah. The first two kills that went over, and especially since you don't really expect Duo King to play anything except for the Rakan or the Soraka too frequently, that you'd be able to have a good matchup as the Braum. Very squishy champions that you can catch in lane.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you might be giving up Alistar, but you're not really expecting to have to play against it, which is certainly interesting. First pick Nocturne, though, here for Kenji. And we did see the Tristana get banned once already. Tactical will ask for it here, and he will get it in the draft.
Okay, interesting. As I look behind the Infernal team, they have Koobs, famous for the complexity games way back in the day, the long games. He goes by
the king of late game.
Yeah, he goes by the moniker the late game king, coming over from Europe. I feel like there's a lot of scaling here for Infernal already with the Tristana. The Lucian is going to be a big leg up for them in that bottom side. Lucian Braum, very potent combination because you can just proc the concussive blows almost instantaneously. So you're going to have to watch out in that bottom lane. We talked about it earlier where it hasn't been bottom lane focus. This very well could end up being a bottom lane focus game.
Yeah, and they actually will take the Urgot here as well. So giving themselves some flexibility here.
Ooh, okay. Misty Stumpy played a Vayne top lane game the other day. I think the Rise is potential for Strompus because it's something that he's very good at and it gets banned against him all the time. But like we said with Duo King, it's probably going to be the Soraka or the Rakan.
And there's two champions, and Mountain have two bans left. So do take one here before the phase is over, as we will move into phase 2 of bans.
They both have to figure out what they want to do here. The Olaf ban, I mean, Olaf, Xin, there's so many jungle champions that are good right now. Graves on top of it, Camille. I think it's just making sure that they have something that's, because Olaf will destroy Nocturne. Like, doesn't matter if you fear him, he's just going to ulti. He can train you down with slows. So just removing a bad matchup in the jungle and kind of protecting Sir Kenji, who has had a pretty bad series, even in their win. It was not a good showing from him there.
I like this, though. Infernal going to pressure Fraggus to get off Xin. What else can you play? He has played quite a lot of it this tournament. And the Aatrox ban from Mountain gives them some insurance against potential flex picks and just generally strong solo laners, because, of course, they are missing all their solo laners right now on the Infernal side. Curious to see what this next one is. It's going to be Galio.
So they can't go Galio and Camille or Galio and have the Rakan. Galio's a champion that often gets overlooked in drafts until the combo is secured, right? It's like, oh yeah, we have Nocturne ultimate into the Rakan ultimate where it's harder to see what's going on, and then you just have this Galio popping through. So Lissandra also flex pickable.
Really solid pick. Good in a lot of different situations. Helps you team fight. Infernal's certainly looking to team fight with this kind of comp. And we'll see what Mountain do want to take here. And who's getting the Urgot? Does Faker just say, you know what? I'm fine with pretty much any matchup.
You had to blind pick something here. And it probably is going to be the Urgot top again. Okay. The Orianna into whatever they pick. Trying to pick like a neutral matchup. We haven't seen Orianna in a while, but it's also up against Strompus, who has a propensity to want to play Rise as one of his best champions. Like, people are saying like his best champions are Rise, and then he's got like this Azir that he can pull out, or Aftershock Kennen, which he did actually pull out and win with previously, and Kindred.
Yeah. I mean, Fraggus is a carry style jungler. He's going to go all the way to Kindred here for this one.
Okay. Kindred will be very interesting against this team that has a decent amount of they want to hit you very fast with the Lissandra, the Nocturne, and blow you up. So the Kindred will be okay against the Nocturne. Against the Lissandra, though, you could just get completely decimated.
Well, and here's last pick Jace now for Infernal. Misty Stumpy says, didn't want to go all the way to Vayne, but we'll take a very good lane bully here in the 1v1 with the Jace.
Jace versus Urgot. I actually do not know how this matchup goes because I feel like Urgot just does Jace things in, you know, aside from like the 1000 range Shock Blast, which is the main Jace thing, don't get me wrong. He does Jace things while being tankier and able to trade blows early. So it feels a bit awkward where they both are now vying for who's going to win this top lane. Instead of one playing defensive, it's probably they're both bashing their heads against each other.
That's true, but I feel like if we learned anything from Urgot over the last 2 months or so, that eventually Urgot neutralizes the lane. So
eventually he solo kills you because his base damages are so high while being tanky. Like the fact he does percent HP with his shotgun knees is why he can build defensive, and it doesn't matter because he's just going to pop you with multiple percent HP damage over and over again.
Well, certainly expect Jace to get some stuff done early because he is an awfully potent laner in the early game. But I imagine Faker can hold on. We'll have to see how it all shakes out. Again, we've kind of expected like junglers to hit those solo lanes early, and I feel like it's been pretty bottom focused as far as the early jungle attention goes. There's certainly that option here, especially on the mountainside, given how potent Lucian Braum is. But if there's ever a time to mix it up and go gank a solo lane, it's the last game of your best of 3.
Yep, got a lot of questions here. Final game of the Scouting Grounds for 2018 between the top 2 teams starting right now, and we're about to get some answers.
One extra game to show off Zirene. Wouldn't have it any other way to finish off the week. Mountain or Infernal, which Drake will reign supreme?
They're my top 2. They're the ones that I go for.
Well, there you go. It makes sense.
Yeah, and the funny thing too is when you have top laners like this who can carry a game very heavily, and your bottom lane is one that you look like you should actually go for, you should camp for Prismal and call in here because of the matchup, it becomes very difficult for a jungler to kind of make those decisions, right? When you have choices, it just makes you have the opportunity to mess up or confuse yourself. It happens all the time, right?
I can relate. This Kenji is going to get chased down here by a wolf. And just a little ward there on the Raptor pit. One hit, not enough.
Yeah. Sometimes as a jungler, you only have one lane to really go towards, and you're like, it's not my fault, man. I have to go to this lane. But when you have 3 lanes or 2 lanes you can go to, you pick the wrong one, you're definitely to blame. You don't have, you know, other options in the other scenario. But here it feels like he could go to pretty much any lane. You could go to the top side and make sure that this Jace is put behind. Because if Jace is put behind, ooh boy, that's the champion that's pretty useless. And right now, oh, they're going to go for an invade on the blue a little late to check it and potentially steal it away. And we'll see if he spots him. Hello.
Faker does move left and see them, so now he knows. Fragus is on the red buff, but he has the info he needs. Nice ward as well there from Faker, just to kind of get the exact timing.
But what this does is when you take the blue from the top side, it means that the Kindred has to go red to going to his bottom side if he wants a blue buff. And when you want a blue buff like that, it means that you section off and you give Nocturne the west and north quadrants of the jungle. And that means that the Nocturne gets to just defend for the Jace and your Urgot has to play defensive. But Fragus is saying no, because his Orianna has shoved and Soligo is actually helping him push him out, and they're wrestling the top side away.
He's red as well, so Kenji has to be careful. Also is marked, and you can see that the Kindred bounty has spawned on the other Scuttle Crab, but seems like Fragus wanted to defend.
He's gonna go here.
Badly.
He's gonna go here, and I think he's gonna wait. Because, oh wait, no, he's gonna go over, because he's saying he's gonna get low. Oh, yeah, Fragus
man. Just reads him. There's the smite. No flash follow, but he's going to get the summoner out of Nocturne and probably just take his red now.
This is just rude. Fragus is saying, like, man, get out of my jungle. Go back to support, Sir Kenji. Like, I know that you couldn't. He tried to get in his support. Couldn't, but he's still a good enough jungler at the same time. But Fragus is just putting on a clinic of how to use an advantage with your lanes and also how to just bully somebody out of the jungle, because this is not something that's easy to do. And it was just his jungle sense of he's going to start his Raptors next and then Blast going there, because he didn't have full vision of that at all. Like, it looks like it's obvious to us because we can see everything with the God vision, but there, it's just the jungle instincts and the fact that he would know, if I were him, I would do this.
And again, the hallmark of a good jungler is they always seem to do the right thing when there's almost no way they could know that was the exact right thing to do.
And because he pushed him out of that topside jungle and then forced him to recall and put his flash down, that puts him in a situation where he can go to the top side and relieve pressure. And whoa, Duo King!
Great double knockup, but I think he maybe went a little too far forward. Aftershock procced, he burns his ignite.
Oh. So Fracas showed up top. That made Strompus panic and go for a TP to try and stop a dive. Yeah, because they're trying to put Misty Stumpy behind, so this Jace is useless. And now the Nocturne shouldn't go to top side because there's no camps for him except for Krugs to kill. So it's a waste of his time to go there. It will delay his level 6. So he's controlling the jungler. And it's kind of it's something that you learn to do in like Diamond 1 Plus is where you start to go after, once you've taken these camps from them, they have to go here if they want experience. They have to go to this side of the map. So you get to know Nocturne is not going to be on the top side of the map for about the next minute and a half here. So you get to have the Urgot play aggressive, the Urgot do what he wants, and then when you see the Nocturne and confirm that information, you get to kind of think, okay, his bottom side is down. If he wants experience, he's going to have to recall, go to the top side, or even just go into my camps at that point. So when he's accomplishing, or when you're kind of controlling him in that sense, there's not much for Sir Kenji to do.
You can see Fracas already back with the red smite now finished. So we'll continue his aggressive invade pattern almost assuredly.
Yeah, and now for Sir Kenji, it's like, he's going to go over here. He's either going to his Krugs or his Raptors are going to respawn in a few seconds, but he might have to wait for them. So yeah, it's the only camp he can do, right? And he'll kill his Krugs, and then he'll go to the other side. And, oh, interesting. Block, and then the other person stepped up. Prismal. Oh.
Too far forward there. It's the worst end of the explosive charge. But continuing to be aggressive, which is what you need to do in these kind of lanes. Fracas does find a control ward, is going to shoot it down.
And Duo King actually maxing the E right now. Last time he actually maxed the Q, and oh, that's a lot of damage on the call in.
Yep, knockup finds him, but Unbreakable is up, so again, just able to trade back. Stumpy finally with a bit of alone time here onto Faker. Does get a nice trade down there. As Kenji also roaming over, but looks like the info is there. Faker will just back away.
And that's the Kindred on the bottom side, and means he can't do really anything about that. Waiting for it. And this should get a mark on it while he's killing it. There you go. So yeah, Fracas is kind of sacking the top side of the map to wait for the Scuttle Crab, and that'll give him a mark, which is worth it for him. And
aggression continuing here in bot side, though. Both getting very low in the 2v2, but
this is where the bot lane's running on fumes. There's no mana on the Lucian. There's barely any HP. You got to call somebody in for a new tank of gas, and it's going to be Fracas and Soligo that are going to blast cone over.
They don't have a TP either. This looks really rough for Infernal's bottom lane.
He's got to push the lane, and they're going to engage instead.
Yeah, they know to go. Good stuff there, but the minions are tanking it up. The shockwave not going to quite land it, but they should be able to get the kill here. Duo King, he's trying to fight his way out, but he can't quite get it. It's Prismo that's able to grab first blood, and now Tactical does have his flashes in towards the wrong turret. Gets tagged by Orianna, and that's it. Soligo grabs the kill.
Yep, he's going to grab the kill, and they're actually just going to start his back almost immediately. Perfect timing on that, and that's going to be a Bilgewater Cutlass back. Yeah, when the bottom lane has, like, that's the thing, is bottom lane is actually one of the lanes that recalls the least in the early parts of the game, because they don't take teleport, etc. And when you start running on fumes like this, it becomes so important to inject new people in, just like this, where Prismal, he almost drops, and they have to rely on this kind of battle of mechanics where people don't have items, and then you have these higher level people coming in. Like right there, if Tactical gets that kill and it's not blocked by Call In, then he gets a reset. He gets to jump, potentially kill Call In, potentially get out of there, and they just have way more gold, and then his scaling turns online. But it's the right move from Mountain, who, honestly, out of all the Scouting Grounds teams, are making the best early game moves, getting those early game advantages, and they seem like they're coordinating to make these things happen.
Again, not a coincidence that Frag and Soligo are able to set that up off the aggression that their bot lane were playing with, and now back it's Bilgewater versus BF. It's actually pretty even as far as items go, but you can see that CS lead is building a little there for Prismal. As is Oriana continuing to poke against Strompus. Struggling to kind of push this out and maintain the CS at even.
Items are even, but like with the over shield and all of that, and every time you trade, we saw what happened. The Vamp is going to go a longer way. And there they go.
Yep, ulti there. Duoking again going to be the target. He zips out, but Prisma going to flash forward and try and finish him off. There's the calling out, but Tactical actually going to tank a lot of it to make sure his support stays alive. TP in from Strompus, but where can he really go from this point?
He's just clearing the waves so that they can't go after him under the turret. But that's two people just barely getting out. And Duo King and Tactical both having to use their flashes, but there was a lot burned there. The flashes of Prismo and Call Lin simultaneously. The bot lane focuses in full effect, Pastry. When flashes are down like that, it's like blood in the water for the junglers. But right here, oh, nice knockback.
Yep, Kenji again going to go in after with the ulti, and that's a kill for Stumpy. Sets up very nicely.
Yeah, that was perfect execution on that one from him. Goes in with the Jace, gets the E flash, and knocks him into backwards, I guess. Flash from Fake God into the E, and you already have Sir Kenji on top of him with the point and click.
Ward is not going to stay alive, but Frag is continuing to try and threaten here. Stumpy is actually looking to finish off the first turret. Fake God going to TP back.
Interesting.
Jungler immediately starts going towards the top side.
Yeah, but question is, can he clear the wave fast enough? I think he's actually going to be fine. Fake God, he's going to ward over. He's going to see Sir Kenji here. And it's just about buying time so you get first turret.
And they do get it. In fact, he's even going to fight in and try and take down Kenji. Gets the blast cone, but turret will now finally fall. Fake God going to collect the control word for himself while he still can. But like you said, that first turret goal does go to Mountain.
Yep, it goes over to Mountain, but this bottom lane is going to be so scared. There's no level 6s just yet. I think they'll hit it off this wave in just a moment. But they're losing so much here because the Tristana and the Rakan can't even hold up right now. No flashes. They're in danger of just being collapsed on at almost all points. And it just gets so rough for them. Basically, everywhere is a minefield because you're being targeted. Everything is just, you don't know where you can step in your own jungle.
Yep, Blade of the Ruined King already finished as well for Prismal. So you talked about them, you know, the aggression in bot lane being in full effect. Well, this is one of the benefits. Lucian, that very quick first item timing, going to continually harass down and look to dive that duo as they are swapping around. Mountain will be in a longer lane here, so perhaps Tactical and Duo King can find a bit safer farm, but probably not, given the attention they've been paid.
Yeah, Braum Lucian is actually I actually played alongside Prismal once as his support as Braum. We played against Otto.
Oh.
Who played Tristana. we won lane, we lost game, but we still won lane. It's a very easy lane to apply your will in and pressure people, and just make it so that this Lucian has his appropriate power spikes. It's very, very easy to do. And Prismal is actually a very good Lucian player in general. It's actually one of his best champions, for sure.
Once again, 1v2 here versus the top laner. Good shock blast there. Kenji almost finds himself on the wrong end of the ulti, but lives this time.
That was he was blind, but still, Strompus going to go in onto Soligo. Got to be careful.
Yeah, after Chuck procs, there's the ulti.
Strompus has ulti.
Does use it. Soligo getting low, but they'll just kite it out. Good ult there from Fracus just to buy a bit more time, and now Strompus needs to get himself out safely. Good flash over the wall. Fracus tried to predict that, but couldn't quite grab it.
Yeah, predicted that he would go up instead of to the right. So that was actually really good from Strompus.
But tower does fall in top lane. Now the Rift Child going to look to take down this mid outer as well. Kenji is here, but I don't think he can defend.
Yeah.
Waves coming in, outnumbered, and that is going to fall.
Yeah, and just the early game pressure from Mountain. The fact that they have this Kindred plus this Lucian Braum lane, they're just able to rotate it all across. They have all three outers down at 11.5 minutes.
And that gold lead about 1,000-ish ahead there for Mountain as they continue to crawl ahead in this game. The light at the end of the tunnel is once again Misty Stumpy's Jace. So they've been putting their attention with their Nocturne.
I will be honest though.
One winning lane versus two.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, we saw him do it with the Victor, but I will tell you right now, Jace is not Victor.
Yes.
Completely different champions, but
very accurate.
And that's why I actually think that Victor is way better than Jace, because he accomplishes a lot of the same things early, a little bit different to gank for him, just you kind of bully lane. But then Jace's fallback pattern is he kind of pokes. If he gets behind, it's pretty bad. But like Victor wave clears and he can blow up squishies and he team fights really well and adds utility with his stun. Jace, very, very hard for him to add to team fights when he's behind. So he has to be ahead and stay ahead. If you have like one bad team fight, oh my god, the margin for error is so small on Jace.
That's why we have the memes.
But you have control. That's the thing. You have control of the situation. That's why we have the memes too, because the margin for error, error's on you. It's your fault. Usually when it happens, it's almost always your fault.
He's going in. Prismal actually 2 levels down. Looking to try and kill the purpose. Oh, made it very unfair, but there's Prismal with an easy one.
Yep. Picks him up there. Strompus. Ultimate coming back up at the same time. Not going to use it. Doesn't matter.
Shrug it off.
Yeah, but like we were saying, Prismal is very good at this. And the Blade of the Ruined King, it's very underappreciated when you get caught out by Illusion, when he Blade of the Ruined Kings you, how much slower you are. Like, it always catches me off guard, especially once the jungler uses like a move block or even a Gragas using a body slam. He just starts kiting you afterwards and does an amazing job with it. And we saw right there, he's able to keep his distance from the Lissandra and able to just pick her up.
And again, trying to win here to get the T2 in bot lane, but FakeGod just playing back, playing safe. Yeah. Ceding his CS lead as his team takes the tower on the other side.
It's a very valuable skill to be able to lose your lane with grace so your team can win the game. Bad matchups happen because the draft resources will not always go your way. He's down 2 levels right now. He's been killed twice, but he's the only 2 kills that Infernal have. And if he can stop the bleeding and just not give up any more, then he'll be doing his job because, like you said, Urgot will eventually be really good in the matchup against the Jace.
Yep.
Eventually.
Needs to get there. Needs to grab some items, but his team already doing well on the item completion front. We have a... Blood Ray is the name of the enchantment now? So the yellow one?
Yeah.
Kindred? Yeah.
Yep. It's not Devour anymore, it's the Blood Razor.
And Luden's plus Blade of the Ruined King that we've mentioned already, so kind of the 3 carries, if you will. Kind of up for their first little bit of points of power here on the side of Mountain.
And Fracus very close to actually getting his 4th stack here. I think he's going to take the blue and get his 4th stack from that. Have that extra range increase.
There we go. Probably the most important set of stacks to get as Kindred are those first 4. Things get a lot sweeter after that. In fact, a little siege is brewing here as calling out on his tactical from Prismal. Wants to poke him off.
Yeah, he gets the shield from the Orianna. He has the overheal as well for the shield on himself, too. So he's good to go. He just gets shielded up, takes no damage from the turret. Even if he did, he'll just get it off of the minions with the Blade of the Ruined King. So understands his limits on the champion and how aggressive he should be.
And again, you see Stumpy down in the top lane this time around, trying to get some work done. Will likely be able to take this turret by himself, but his team's going to take the tier 2. FakeGod's going to go back to make sure the inhibitor turret doesn't fall down, and Infernal just left catching waves and trying not to get shockwaved. Claw not taken there by Lissandra. Just nothing they can really do. Infernal just saying, you know what? We can't fight, we just have to trade.
Yep, and it's potentially going to be the Mountain Drake here. A Mountain picking up the Ocean Drake here. I'm glad teams aren't actually named after drakes.
Well, this one is going to go down. No bouncy to be had, but happy to claim the objective here for Mountain. They have full control over basically whatever side of the map they decide to commit to.
Yeah, they can't actually go to either. I feel like it's going to be mid plus one of them. You don't really want to go like bottom plus top. You want to do that with something like Jace, try to keep people as far away and isolate him in the 1v1. But when there's a Nocturne, you do want to have like mid and maybe bottom, not the 2 lanes apart type thing, because the Nocturne shadowing has been how they've gotten 2 kills already.
See FakeGod actually just gonna kill the melee creeps and then get out of there. As Mountain go back out on the map and back towards mid to get the pressure down. They're actually 6 turrets to 4, so only inhibitor turrets plus the Nexus ones to take as their next few, and we're very early into this game. I mean, selfishly, Stumpy's gold lead is good, but the rest of the team is kind of having to pay the price here.
It's game 1 all over again, where Fracus did an amazing job with the bottom half of the map, and the top half is the one that gets seeded, and Sir Kenji does a good job of assisting Misty Stumpy to get a lead over FakeGod, based on, you know, picking a winning matchup.
And it's going to get trickier for Infernal to safely maneuver through their own jungle.
Yeah.
When you start losing all that gold, your turrets are taking chip damage.
I feel like they might try to dive FakeGod and force something, but watch what Prismal does here.
Yeah, if Stumpy ever dies.
Yep, there it is. Prismal's here.
Prismal with a nice read. Now Candy too far forward. The culling is going to try and force the flash and does get it. Slow comes down. There's the ulti. FakeGod looking for it, but not going to get the rest of the fear. in onto Stumpy as he's got no flash to follow up with, but pretty speedy. He's actually popped Ghost, I believe, that he had from Spellbook, and now Stumpy's going to get chased down. He's in a 1v2 and try and get his way out of there. He's got his flash. The slow barely does not connect after the Urgot Q, so he'll live, but Kenji did not. And now actually going to try and turn it back around. Stumpy going to try and show off. Flashes in aggressively. Prismal, they're going to kite it out. He does grab the shutdown, but Fake got able to grab him as well. Don't know if that shutdown trade's worth it.
But that's exactly what you kind of want to have happen in the game for Mountain. That was so good from Prismal. I went back and watched it. They never saw Nocturne actually for like about a minute. He was on the bottom half. He blast coned over, went for a recall, and then he just went all the way down into the lane and walked through it. Prismal's like, something's going to happen here based off the way they're playing. That was such a good read from him to back up his top laner in that moment.
And it pays some dividends. Like you said, Mountain happy with the trade that they were able to take there. And still not missing a beat, pushing out their waves and pressuring the map. Again, Infernal have another layer of turrets to chew through before they can have the same map position. So Mountain just taking their time. And I feel like we'll see what happens when the Baron spawns, because they've been pretty aggressive at least going to the objective. But yeah, if they can play things out a little smoother from here, even though the gold lead right now isn't massive, it's significant.
But I'll tell you, this is pretty much what the series has been was, all right, gold lead early for, oh, hold on.
Dua gets out for now, but Lin actually early flashes to try and cut them off at the pass. Dua King able to get away, barely misses out on getting ulted, but he'll escape, but Strumpus will not be so lucky.
But the series so far has been Mountain, lead early, throw. Second game was lead early, just don't do anything crazy. This game is lead early, keep just rotating around the map, don't do anything crazy. You'll win the game eventually, even without the Baron or those high-risk plays, and that's what they're going for here. You even see they brought Urgot mid. They're saying, Jace, time to play chicken. Misty Stumpy, are you going to back? Because you'll get one inhibitor. You'll lose your base if you don't back.
Yeah, they're actually just going to force him to come back here and go for the end here. Still dead for a little while longer. Ulti up from Fraggus. Infernal needs to make some decisions here, but Stumpy is not leaving. Dua King is back. It's 4v4 right now with the ulti from Kenji. He's going to move in, but if they lose this fight, the game ends as Dua King even got tagged by the Urgot ulti. Shockwave finds one, a Tactical who's forced to flash away. The race is still on though. Stumpy's not done.
Yeah, is Stumpy going to win the game instead? FakeOut has to back here.
He does have TP. He's going to have to use it now. Not going to get cancelled, but Fraggus now forced to get out of there.
Oh,
Colin's going to try and do what he can. Fraggus does go down here. But again, Tactical now too far forward. Solio going to try and make something happen, but he's forced to flash. And now Stumpy's here, but Prismal comes back once again, and now Stumpy's dead.
Now Stumpy is dead. He got one of the Nexus turrets, the inhibitor down. They basically traded even again. Exactly the same structures were taken. One Nexus turret, one inhibitor turret.
And in a situation like that, when somehow the trade comes out even, who made the right call?
Well, it felt like it was so risky at that point because the way that Infernal were holding on, Infernal lost more people, I believe. I don't remember the numbers before the fight. I looked back at it for just a second because it was very hectic. I believe they lost more people just slightly in those fights, but at the same time, you're ending up with an even trade in a position where one team is ahead, and it's going to put you, I would say, honestly, Infernal is in a better position map-wise now because they have the bottom inhibitor down, which is the furthest from the Baron, and they only have one teleport, which would be Fake God, versus the 2 TPs from Infernal. So if you are able, if they start going after the Baron, you can push in with somebody like Misty Stumpy, have a TP from Strompist come with Sir Kenji using ulti to stop TPs, and you could potentially win the game off of a push that gets a little bit too far. So you always have to now think, as Mountain, about that bottom wave constantly, because Jace, you know Misty Stumpy is going to be bottom now.
Definitely don't end up in this situation very often. So an interesting test for our young players here.
Yeah, that's why they're going bottom now. They're saying, we can't let this wave be anywhere near the halfway point, even though there's a Baron on the table. So they're pushing this bottom wave, saying, we're going to take this to the turret, and they're kind of spreading themselves thin right now as Mountain to make sure that they can hold multiple waves and kind of have pressure in all of them.
Yeah, and don't even want to take the Cloud Drake, which at this point will be very simple to get. You're going to dive in, though, look for a good shockwave there, finds 2, but that's actually going to be Prismal getting blown up. Tactical able to get that first kill.
Yep.
He's chasing in, looking for the Orianna, but maybe a little too far forward. Yeah, that's not it. Stumpy overreaches See what it costs his team. Duking also tagged by Urgot. Faker just sniped him. He's going to be ground to death here in Joe. Nope. Duking actually okay. Must have been wrong about the ulti connecting, but the Q from Brom's enough.
I think it did connect. You could kind of hear it, right?
That ominous Inception style sound.
Yeah, I'm trying. Ooh.
Nice ult.
Hey.
Just in case.
Just in case. I like that he threw that down. Fracas also did something in their siege earlier, where when they were sieging the Nexus turrets, he threw down his ultimate to keep the minions alive and stop them from dying, much like a teleport would. But Sir Kenji's trying to clear the wave, trying to throw Qs at the caster minions so that they can't keep going for it.
It's actually going to have to be them pulling away here. Prism back off to respawn. Still big objectives to take on either side. Baron obviously more important than the Cloud Drake, but even buffs are respawning on Mountain side of the jungle as well.
2 items now for Tactical. If he can get to that 3-item spike for Tristana, it'd be pretty big. And then if he can actually get to the 4-item spike, it'd be even bigger and more important. But this game is just very accelerated right now. This, when you have people spread out like the 2 and 3, and then in transit, he goes to the right side, they're able to catch Prismal instantaneously. That's a great collapse and exactly what you should do. But right here, Misty Stumpy, like you said, overreaching. This is... I understand what this ain't Victor. This ain't Victor. You can't just skirt the fight like that, throw down gravity fields and such. Once you commit with Jace, you're in there, you're committed.
And like you said, the margin for error is very thin on Jace. Thankfully for him, it only cost his team their second inhibitor.
Yeah, I think he's going for Edge of Night third, which I actually think is an underrated item. I think a lot of like Misfortunes also do this too, where they don't buy Edge of Night third. It got reduced in cost. It has an increase in, it's a better shield now in terms of the channel time is lower. So you can just take 1 second instead of 1.5, like 100 gold less, so the stats are more efficient. And then it's another lethality item on top of it. So having all of that lethality is very, very good. And Sir Genji!
He got caught here, pops the stopwatch, but good ult there from Brom. Actually going to stay alive. Duking moves in with the shields at Lin. Is actually going to set up the shockwave. That might be enough to turn the fight back around, but Tactical, he grabs that first kill. Fracas is trying to fight his way out, but Stumpy is going to jump on a Soligo and take him down, but Prismal is able to get the counter kill with the culling Fracas. He lived for way longer than I thought, as Tactical has to get away, but I think Prismal's got the snipe. The ulti barely missing from Urgot on the other side, as Tactical is going to live for a little while longer.
And that's enough. If he gets back, he gets the home guard. He has the range as the level 13 Tristana to just start making sure that these minions don't make it all the way in. And the Lissandra surviving as well is huge to boot here. So I don't think this will go down if he just stands in front of it, and he'll be good to go, that saving that Nexus turret, because he just lived with a sliver of HP.
And again, also have to go back and deal with this wave here that chunked the inhibitor down to 50%. They've respawned here in bot lane. Mid should be back up. Oh no, so top is already back up, but mid was taken more recently. So now we're back to super minions only being on one side of the map.
Yeah, while all of that was happening, they lost their last Nexus turret. So 3 super minions came in, bonked down that last Nexus turret, and then the inhibitor respawned. So that's a naked Nexus if that last inhibitor goes down here on the bottom side. Misty, Stumpy, and Strompus both have teleport. This has not been a game about TP at all. It has been a game about who can actually push these waves and fight a little bit more, which is not what the Jace really wants to do.
It may become a game about TP. There are no wards in the area. I can see TP is already down to the bot side. They're pretty far away. It's only Stromp as well.
But he's completely spotted out. They have so many wards there. I think what he was doing is he was TPing to look for a better flank position.
And they're already going back. They'll just say, okay, we'll find him. There's another TP. This seems like an overcommit now from Infernal. Ulti again from Nocturne, going to try and stop.
Stopping
I think
backs.
already recalled. Call in is the one they've stopped. Fracas also going to get stopped, but Oriana going to make his way back. It's already 2v1. Stumpy, he's going to go down. Infernal completely botched that play.
The wards on the bottom side are unexpected. They're spotted out on the teleport. It's just really desynced. There isn't, the Nocturne ultimate goes out and they go for TPs at weird times. The Nocturne ultimate is just to try and stop backs, but they've already showed their hand. They've tilted their hand to Mountain.
I mean, if you have wards deeper in the base, that play is much better. But there's no way for them to really go that would have made sense.
Yeah, it could have been slow, methodical push from Jace bottom lane if you can actually muster it up, have him push those waves out. Your middle inhibitor is up in 40 seconds. and then you'll have all your inhibs up. You can go for a play, you can go for just macro gaming them down and using those teleports.
Instead, they waste them, they lose Baron, and now Mountain are back out ready to try and close out the game.
Yeah, and like I was saying, you have to think about those 2 teleports if you're Mountain. Now, you don't have to think about them at all. Their window for winning the game and throwing down kind of like a coup de grace type play from Infernal, that window is shut.
And again, certainly something tough to try and coordinate, but they weren't even at the same time. Like, whatever happened, again, enforcing the idea that communication and making clear calls is very important at every single level. For Mountain now, they'll just sweep the map of objectives. This project's been up for a while, but Mountain say, all right, we're kind of down here anyway, so we might as well take it. And Inhibs will be back up now, I believe, for Infernal, but now they have to not lose the game.
Yeah, just not losing the game, it's easier said than done right now because those are 2 naked inhibitors. The Tristana, though, tactical, he's going to get chunked there massively from Prismal, who's 2 levels up on him. Even though Tactical now is at that 3-item spike, they're just getting sieged and pushed down from all sides. Strompist can't find the right engage. Tactical's taking damage.
Yep, Prismal again goes in aggressive. They're actually opening it up. They're going to take down the Nexus turret and expose it. They might just go for the win right here. Paranoia pop. They're going to try and dive into the back line, but Strompist does get the kill on Solo Go. Not bad at all, but the Nexus still open. Still fighting it out, but Mountain looks like they've done it. It's only Tactical left to try and defend it. And Mountain will finish atop the mountain in Scouting Grounds.
They started off 4-0 in terms of their match record. Had a bit of a slump yesterday, going 0-2. And they take care of business here today in a 3-game series where they won all 3 early games and looked really coordinated to make those early games happen.
Yeah, I feel like each game got a little bit cleaner, and that's probably true for a lot of these teams throughout the week here at Scouting Grounds. But whatever the coaches were doing, clearly players were listening after that first game loss, which was a long one. It just felt like the games got better and better, despite the base trade shenanigans.
Yeah, that was one where it was a dropped ball from Infernal, but Mountain were able to respond appropriately. They were able to respond quickly, and that's what made the difference there and made it so that they were at least thinking of that play, and it was in their minds that this could happen and how they would respond to it at all points.
Yeah, but again, I think across the day, we've seen a lot from all 20 players that have attended Scouting Grounds here. It's just fun to watch, man. Like, to think that any of these players we could be seeing on either the Academy or the LCS stage at some point in their future. It's cool to see them right now. We're like, hey, I remember when that guy was in Scouting Grounds.
Yeah, I definitely think that some of these players will be picked up by Academy teams in some way, shape, or form because a lot of them are very young and don't have that experience. And when you're at a high enough level already and people are impressed with your play, all you have to do is get those repetitions in. Sure, you may end up in like the bottom of Academy, like bottom 3 teams for a while, right? Nobody expects you to just shoot up to the top as you're learning the ropes because, I mean, professional League of Legends has been around for a long time now. So people have lots of experience and people who are like in the scene are usually pretty established, and you have to pick things up very quickly and kind of learn habits in 6 months that people have been beating into themselves for 3 years.
Yeah, and I think it's cool that what am I trying to say? It's cool that like everyone says that like, oh, like it's just a week. How much can you really do? But for these players that are attending this event, like probably one of the most exciting weeks of their lives. They get so much out of talking to these coaches and working with these teams and working with some of their players on both Academy and LCS rosters. Like I've seen more random pro players today than I have like usually in a general NALCS studio day. There's people floating around everywhere just being like, hey, I want to come hang out and chat to some of these guys and see what they're about.
Yeah, and like a lot of these people are people that you run into in solo queue in Challenger. Everybody kind of knows each other in Challenger.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, oh, this guy.
Not that many of them.
It's like this guy was mean to me once. This guy was really nice to me. We duoed a few times. Didn't work out too well. How you doing now? Like that's what ends up happening a lot. And being able to kind of see these people in person and be like, okay, what are they like in person, right? What are they like offline? Because some people, I've heard stories where it's like, this person flamed me before. You meet them in person and they're just like a teddy bear. You're like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? He's like, I just really like winning.
Well, that happens. And today it is Mountain that have won. But for a first-hand account on what it's like to win this series, let's hear from Ovely and Mountain's Fragus.
Thanks, guys. Fragus, congratulations on the win. It was a super close series, went to all 3 games. You had some really back-to-back games. So how was your first big series on stage?
Oh, it was just really fun. I really enjoyed it. Like, I All I can say was just really fun because my whole team played great. So that's all I can really say about that. So.
And something that our analysts were talking about on the desk was that they think that jungle was probably the hardest role to transition from solo queue into team play with. So based on your experience, do you think that's true?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's so much to learn. And I really appreciate my coaches for helping me out a lot. Like, without them, I really couldn't have played that great. So, yes, it's really hard to transition.
What makes it so difficult?
Just like the learning aspect. I feel like if you're just a solo queue player, it's so much harder to go back. Like, you have to like not tilt. And like if you don't tilt, it's so much easier. Like I've came a long way, I think. So
tell me about the team camaraderie, because of course tilting is not the best way to win games. So was there anyone on your team that kind of helped support everyone?
I think we just all got along great. Like if someone tilted, we'll just talk to them to see how they're feeling. And like we had a really good talk with all each other about like tilting, like what's on our mind. So that really helps a lot.
You gave some praise to your coaches. You worked with a lot of different coaches from different organizations, as well as DeMonte, a player. So whose coaching style did you really resonate best with?
Jungle Juice for sure, because he really taught me how to play the map correctly. Like he really showed me just the correct way to play, and that really helped me a lot. Like it fixed a lot of my mistakes, and he's just really good, I think. So.
Well, Fragus, thank you so much, and congratulations again. Back to the desk.
Cool.
Good job.
Thank you very much, Amelie. Words of wisdom there. Coach is very good, of course. It's always nice to hear. Now, with the conclusion of today's matches, votes are being gathered for the top 5 prospects of Scouting Grounds 2018, which will be awarded to the top performing players very shortly. Until then, let's talk about the final game of the series. Final game of the day, Mountain Drake did pull it through. A bit of a throw and a loss in game 1, a solid game 2, and then a contentious game 3, but somewhat controlled.
I think it's kind of followed the same format though. Even though Infernal Drake was on red side for the first time and got some more counter pick focused champions, it was still a situation where Mountain Drake wins the early game. There's a couple throws back and forth, but then for the most part, Mountain Drake plays better from there on out. And I think it kind of followed what we said we thought was going to happen this game. But once again, Misty Stumpy has some really cool plays on that Jace.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game is like, it kind of reminded me of game 1. I thought Mountain was just going to decisively close. Props to Infernal to like even making it an open Nexus game.
Sure.
But I think usually I'd rather take a marksman that's ahead bot lane because it gets your support ahead than having your top laner ahead, unless it's like super like.
I mean, we had that exact thing happen in game 1 though, where Misty Stumpy was winning, but he was winning on Victor, right? He was going to have a late game threat. He was winning here on Jace, and even though he got a turret pretty early on, he had a CS lead, he couldn't convert nearly as well on it.
No, there were a number of skirmishes that broke out around the mid lane when he finally kind of brought his lead to the team, and it's just so much harder on Jace to convert that into stuff in skirmishes and team fights, and so he put in a good performance but was not able to pull it out.
Yeah, I also really appreciated tactical in this game where, I mean, okay, he got slammed in lane, like, don't get me wrong, mistakes were made.
4-man bot.
Yeah, okay, sure. So he got camped super hard, right? And obviously so did Duo King, but Tactical every single game was getting blasted bot lane, or almost every single game, 4v2 or 3v2 or whatever, and his scoreline would still be 4-1-1 and close in CS by mid-game. So I thought that he played so well from getting no help at all.
I think he's someone that definitely deserves another look by teams to like separate how much of this was team difference, how much of this was Duo King, because he got picked off a couple times,
sure, yeah.
was playing not normal meta stuff for right now, and they were often not picking the more aggressive bot lane. So how much of that was tactical and how much of that was the result of the rest of the situation? Because like you said, he played out mid to late game team fights pretty well.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. And of course, we had the rest of the squad look really good on Mountain Drake. Obviously, they came away with the wins. I think they're definitely the better team throughout this tournament. Solid stuff there. We do have, at some point, highlights to play of this game, of a lot of the big plays. Fragus was the better jungle the whole way through. You can see he went for bot pressure alongside Soligo as well, who was somewhat surprised here in this tournament. Misses the shockwave, but still, 4v2 bot lane obviously is pretty free. Good map play overall.
Yeah, this is where I'd say, like, you're supposed to get, for that play specifically, like, they didn't get that much top, and they didn't defend bottom, so kind of, like, felt weird. Yeah, like, Infernal, I just lost out on that, and then this play, like...
Yeah, Misty Stumpy had a pretty big lead and tried to take the 2v1, couldn't quite pull it off, and that kind of gave their lead away, but this is where the game started breaking down, where, we see Team Mountain Drake trying to hard commit to ending the game, but they're not actually able to kill anyone. People start responding. It's a 4v5, and this whole time alone, Misty Stumpy starts working down this turret. So eventually both teams end up with very open bases, but neither team could actually end the game here, and it resulted in some really weird map positioning. Like turrets were traded super early as well.
I respect the Infernal call for this because you don't want your Jace to team fight with like all its ally items. Like, you want him to split push. It's very respectable call to like go for these type of plays because 5v5 they just know that they're not going to win. They have a behind marksman compared to Team Mountain. So it's definitely like at least they know their win condition and they still stuck with it. So I think the calls for Infernal, obviously they didn't all go too well. Like the TP, something happened there, but I think overall it's still like they had a plan at least. So.
Yeah, and I think the communication still, for the most part, was better seeming on Team Mountain Drake. A couple times for Infernal, you saw whether it was Misty Stumpy in the top lane, like going in while everyone else is backing out. That TP call, like you're saying, where Lysandra completes it and then just charges through turrets to meet up with the rest of the team while Stumpy fights a 2v1. Like, they were definitely on the back foot, it felt like, in terms of team play the entire game. Yeah. And kind of, for the most part, the series, where there's a lot better coordination on big plays by Mountain Drake. Yeah, and overall, I mean, Infernal had a pretty good tournament. Like, they went 5-1 over the group stage, actually had a better overall performance in the round robin than Mountain Drake did. Of course, head-to-head, now Mountain went 2-1 in BO3s, so like at least has that head-to-head advantage. But yeah, you're seeing sort of the pros and cons on both sides. A play I really liked on the Mountain Drake side was towards this end game here, right towards the end of that gold graph, where they basically made the blind call that a double TP was happening because Mountain had recalled the Urgot and Lucian back to base and walked into bot and Hib as his TPs are coming into the bot jungle, and they're like, hello, we've just met an Urgot who's face checked into this, because they like expected, or sorry, a Jace was coming in, and just like walks into two people who just like had recalled 12 seconds earlier. And that's a good call. Impressive, because I talked to Prawley, who was working with Team Mountain Drake a little bit before the day, and he was talking about like how they were emphasizing communication, because coming into it, like, these players playing in solo queue are so used to just, playing and then maybe typing after they're dead or something. Like, they're not used to communicating as they play. And so he was joking that, like, well, we started with grunts. Like, we didn't start with full words. Like, when players wanted to fight, you just had to grunt and say, like, I'm going. And then eventually they worked on comms and stuff. So it is pretty impressive to see them pulling out plays like that by the end of the tournament. Yeah, that someone was like, okay, I'm gonna take a step back. What would they do to win this game? Oh, they're gonna go for this, like, TP play. Because, like, they did channel the recall before they channeled the TP. So, like, someone had to make that call that this was definitely happening. So that was super impressive. Someone had the foresight there, impressive there. And I do think, like, a lot of those players look very good. Like, I thought Fragus was good throughout the day. I, again, was impressed by Soligo, who, like, I felt like no one really knew who he was. I think that's something we were talking about before we came on camera for this, is kind of looking back, and it's like, how did Mountain get all these players? And it's like, well, almost all of them were, like, unknowns. Yeah. Where, I don't know, it's just, like, some player that turns out showed up really well on the week.
Yeah, I don't even know the accounts of Fake God and Call In. Like, I didn't even know their solo queue accounts. I'm for sure, like, I've played against them, but I think I just didn't know their IGN, so. And yeah. Fragus, you said another alt account he has, was a Doink something? Doink Machine 96. He was rank 1. He was the rank 1 player. If you guys ever seen an Iron walking around in the beginning of the season, that was Mr. Fragus. That's Fragus. I love that, dude. Detective Fragus. He's actually great on Twitter. I love that he's just the fact that he has an account named Doink Machine means you know everything you need to know about the player. I mean, I want to see him now in Academy, right? Like, I want to see that guy run around. Yeah, and that's to your point that, like, a lot of these players were more of the unknowns. Fake God was someone that people were really hyped about based off his solo queue, but people didn't know. Like, he wasn't really playing on Academy teams or Challenger teams, collegiate teams, whereas a lot of these guys, like Misty Stumpy, for example, like, I casted him a couple months ago for collegiate, and he looked really good on carries then, still looks really good on carries, probably between him and Fake God, really close toss-up. And so it was just a situation where Mountain ended up with a lot of the players that hadn't played somewhere else before. Yeah, well, credit to, of course, all these players doing very well. Now let's send it on stage to Commissioner Greeley and Ovely, who will present the 2018 Top 5 Prospects.